everyone, welcome back to the YouTube channel, and today I am excited to review some tights, and I'm excited to review some what Katie did as well. I really like the What Katie Did brand. If you don't know much about them, they are a brand that specialise in predominantly retro lingerie, so sort of 50s, 60s, bullet bras, high-waisted, all that kind of stuff. And they also do slightly more modern versions of stockings as well. And they are sort of one of my favourites for having the contrast colour backseam stockings. And yeah, they also kind of do slightly more retro as well and vintage stockings, but they have always kind of been on my radar for predominantly the stockings. My favourite pair, actually I don't think you can get them anymore, so I might have to scour the internet, but my favourite ones were the nude and mustard. Super gorgeous colour. But anyway, I digress. Let me show you what I'm actually going to be reviewing and unboxing today, and that is, as I said, a pair of tights right here, and these are the What Katie Did polka dot seamed tights. They are in the shade, I believe they are, what do they call it? Let's have a little look. Does it say? It absolutely does not say. I'm going to guess that they're kind of nude and black. I mean, it says CH and black, maybe like chalk kind of colour, so maybe a bit more of a whiter nude. But yeah, nude and white, nude and black even. So yeah, I've got them in a medium to large as well, and you can purchase these from the Tight Spot. I was super excited when the Tight Spot started stocking What Katie Did. Yeah, and you can get them on the Tight Spot for $13.95. And if you ever want to go and look at any of the products that I mention, I always leave the link for the exact product in the description box below, along with my discount code for 10% off with the Tight Spot as well. So £13.95 for some really gorgeous retro vintage inspired tights. And when I used to get some of the What Katie Did, they actually used to come in completely different packaging, really quite simple and slightly more modern packaging. And they've just gone for this sort of, I mean, this isn't super duper new, but some of these packets that I've had are kind of a bit more new to me. But yeah, these packets are really gorgeous. The fact that this is essentially like a little brown paper bag is just really lovely to me. Everything's very retro, very vintage. I love the illustration. I really like the packaging. It does a lot for me. And the back of these is also super duper simple, really kind of minimal. Gives you everything you sort of need, but yeah, there's very minimal kind of stuff there. Again, super lovely packaging, and of course recyclable, because it's just a paper bag. So let's see. It says on here they are a sheer 15 denier tight, and I have them in a medium to large, which essentially is a UK 12 to an 18, 5'4" to 5'10". So we're well within the range there. If I wanted a small to medium, we actually goes from a UK 8 to a 14. So actually, quite a generous kind of size range, I think. And they also do a curve in selected lines, which is which I'm not quite sure exactly what it means. Oh, I think it means the other way round. It says dress size UK 18 to 14. I think they mean 14 to 18 the other way round. But that's also not the biggest sort of, I'm not sure about that one. I don't know if that's a misprint or something, but that doesn't actually make sense. Anyway, it does actually say here that if you are at the top of the dress height measurements, then to size up. So a nice bit of information that I always say is if you're on the cusp of something, always size up. Hand washing only, and these are an 87% nylon, 10% elastane and a 3% polypropylene. So yeah, we've got a nice mix of bits there. 10% elastane, enough stretch, we shall find out. But let's open these up. And have a look, shall we? So these are also manufactured in Italy. And then as we can see, they should be wrapped still with the cardboard, just to give it a little bit of rigidity. Yes, there we go. Okay, super cute. So I think, judging by the pictures, that we have a reinforced top to them. The design is not waist to toe. It does say that they are a point heel with a sheer finish. So let's have a little look. But yeah, I think these are a reinforced top, which actually, if I'm going to be completely honest, I don't particularly love. I love it when the pattern goes all the way to the waist. But let's see, shall we, how this looks. So they are quite long actually straight away, but we can see there's a lot of shaping to these tights. There's shaping here, which is actually at the back of the thigh, a little bit there, onto the calf, in at the ankles, and then we do have shaping on the feet. So there should actually be a really kind of nice natural kind of shape to these with the elastane as well, which is great because I usually have quite skinny ankles in comparison to my calves and feet, so that's great. Let's take a look at let's go top to bottom, shall we? Let's have a quick look at the waistband. Fairly standard. It's actually quite a nice material. Sometimes they can look a little bit more like a bandage material almost. Looks pretty even, no issues there. The seam itself, although quite a thick seam, runs quite flat, which is nice. So you shouldn't see them if you've got on something like really form-fitting skirt-wise. You shouldn't really see that kind of almost like zip line from your waist down. So yeah, we do have that reinforcement, as you can see. It's pretty obvious. It is that kind of boxer brief top to it. Feels nice and soft, and I think, yeah, it's quite a high reinforcement, so it shouldn't come down too low. Sometimes in the past I've had tights that have had this reinforcement and it comes actually quite low down onto the leg, and if you're wearing something quite short or you happen to be sitting down and something rides up, you can then just see this band of reinforcement, which I really don't like. So at least it's good to know that it's sort of high up on the leg. And we do have a little bit of a gusset as well. It's not obviously cotton, so maybe that was the 3% polypropylene that they've used rather than cotton, but that feels nice and soft. And then we just go into the tights themselves. What did I say they were? A 15 denier? Yes, 15 denier. So on the back we have this gorgeous black back seam going all the way down into a point, which I'll show you in a moment properly, and then the rest of it is just polka dots basically. So I'm going to put my hand in and we're going to have a little look. So yeah, you can see back seam starts right from the reinforcement, and then I'm going to follow that all the way down. It's a really nice clean back seam actually, and then we go all the way onto the heel. So it is a pointed heel, and it's interesting because the actual reinforcement itself isn't super black. It's got a little bit of a light kind of greyness to it in comparison to the rest, which is super black. So yeah, interesting to note. Reinforcement on the bottom, and then of course the reinforcement across the toe. Again, a bit of a softer colour rather than being a solid sort of black. You can actually see a bit more sort of texture there, but a really nice reinforcement area. So it's a reinforced heel and toe as well. So yeah, they're really, really beautiful looking. My only reservation with them, as I say, is they aren't waist to toe with the pattern, but that doesn't mean that they're going to look terrible or anything like that. That's just a personal preference. So I'm excited to try these on. I'm going to go ahead, we're going to see what we think for $13.95, and we're going to see how they fit. So yeah, come and join me in a minute. Okay, so as you can definitely see, I have the tights on, and right off the bat, they are super, super duper cute. They're really, really lovely tights. They were really easy to get on as well. They are a 15 denier, but they feel really sort of robust in their construction, so I didn't feel like I was going to kind of rip them off or rip them open or anything like that. So yeah, they were really easy to get on, they fit really well, they're super duper comfy on the waist, they fit right up onto the waist, they're not too short, not too long or anything like that. And actually, although I always say I prefer the pattern to the waist down, it's quite nice to have that little bit of reinforcement around the top. So, as I always do, I will show you the feet and we'll have a little look at that. So, as you can see, we have this really lovely band of reinforcement here. And I think I like it being in a slightly sort of more softer colour rather than a solid black, even though the polka dots are quite black. I think I quite like that. But yeah, plenty of room, nice there. And then we have obviously a panel of it going down onto the foot and onto the heel. And then I'll show you the back of them properly as well, so you can just see that pointed heel as well. So again, very reminiscent of a more vintage, more retro pair of hosiery with the reinforced heel and the reinforced toe and that little bit of the point heel as well. But yeah, I think in terms of skin colour, these actually are a nice kind of match to my skin. It's not making me look too white, particularly too pink or too yellow. Really quite nice there. But yeah, I think they're really lovely. Obviously the polka dots stretch a little bit coming more up onto the thigh, but they still look like polka dots. They haven't completely sort of changed or anything like that. And then on the back, of course, we just have that really lovely seam, back seam, black back seam that goes all the way up, which I think really adds to the pair of tights. Now, I think you might just be able to see, yeah, just here, you can see where that sort of reinforcement starts, because obviously the pattern doesn't go any further. But this again is a really, really nice texture. You can tell it's a little bit thicker, more on a 20 sort of denier. So it just adds that kind of sort of security there. But yeah, really nice, fits really nicely, really comfy. You know, sometimes when a pair of tights is just really lovely, you don't always have that much to say other than just be like, they're really lovely. I think in terms of size, I think they're pretty much true to size. They're pretty accurate. There is some give and stretch in them, so if you are more on that kind of size 14, size 16 kind of vibe, then I think you're okay. As it says on the packaging, and as I would always recommend, if you're on the cusp, then definitely size up if that's possible anyway. I would probably, because the sizing is quite accurate, I would probably be fine in the small to medium, but because it's on that cusp, I would just go to the medium to large. So yeah, have a little look at their size guide. They're really good because they are a British UK company. Their sizing is obviously predominantly in UK sizing, which obviously as somebody that's in the UK, I find that actually quite a lot easier because their size guides sort of make sense in comparison to some. For example, Polish brand Hosiery can actually be something to do with sort of thigh width and calf length and things like that, and it's all really confusing because we don't use that. We literally height and weight and UK dress sizes. So these are gorgeous. As always, I'm going to give these a 10 out of 10. I can't fault them at all. The colour's lovely, the fit's nice, the design's really lovely, it's manufactured really well. Yeah, there's nothing about these that is different or needs any changes to. So a 10 out of 10 from me. I think in terms of the price point, they're really nice. Again, you're paying for manufacturing, you're also paying for a lot of different detail. You've got obviously the pattern, the back seam, and all the reinforcement on the heel and the toe. And you're also paying for that vintage look, and you're also paying for the name as well. So I think $13.95 is a pretty reasonable price, and what Katie did is pretty accessible to buy either from them or of course now from the Tight Spot. So yeah, 10 out of 10. Let me know what you thought of these nylons in the comments below. Have you had much experience with what Katie did before? And if so, what have you tried? But yeah, I'm a fan, and thank you for joining me, and hopefully I'll see you again soon for another one. Bye.